Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
A general officer of the highest rank. The head of a religious order or congregation. Of worldwide scope or applicability. A fact about the whole, as opposed to particular. He discussed the general but neglected the particular. Affecting the entire body. A general anesthetic. Applying to all or most members of a category or group. The general public. Command as a general. We are generaled by an incompetent. Not specialized or limited to one class of things. General studies. Prevailing among and common to the general public. The general discontent. Somewhat indefinite. Bearing a general resemblance to the original. A general officer of the highest rank. The head of a religious order or congregation. A sophisticated person who has traveled in many countries. Growing or occurring in many parts of the world. A cosmopolitan herb. Of worldwide scope or applicability. An issue of cosmopolitan import. Composed of people from or at home in many parts of the world, especially not provincial in attitudes or interests. His cosmopolitan benevolence impartially extended to all races and to all creeds. Concerned with promoting unity among churches or religions. Ecumenical thinking. Of worldwide scope or applicability. The shrewdest political and ecumenical comment of our time. Concerned with promoting unity among churches or religions. Of worldwide scope or applicability. Linguistics. A grammatical rule, or other linguistic feature, that is found in all languages. Logic. A proposition that asserts something of all members of a class. Coupling that connects two rotating shafts allowing freedom of movement in all directions. In motor vehicles, a universal joint allows the driveshaft to move up and down as the vehicle passes over bumps. Of worldwide scope or applicability. Universal experience. A behavioral convention or pattern characteristic of all members of a particular culture or of all human beings. Some form of religion seems to be a human universal. Adapted to various purposes, sizes, forms, operations. Universal wrench. Applicable to or common to all members of a group or set. The play opened to universal acclaim. Spanning or extending throughout the entire world. Involving the entire earth, not limited or provincial in scope. Of worldwide scope or applicability. Spanning or extending throughout the entire world. Worldwide distribution. Involving the entire earth, not limited or provincial in scope. Of worldwide significance. Of worldwide scope or applicability. An intensive examination testing a student's proficiency in some special field of knowledge. Broad in scope. A comprehensive survey of world affairs. Including all or everything. Comprehensive coverage. Affecting an entire system. A systemic poison. Showing or characterized by broad-mindedness. A broad political stance. having great, or a certain, extent from one side to the other. A river 2 miles broad. Not detailed or specific. A broad rule. Lacking subtlety, obvious. Gave us a broad hint that it was time to leave. Being at a peak or culminating point. Broad daylight. Broad in scope or content. An invention with broad applications. Very large in expanse or scope. A broad lawn. Of speech, heavily and noticeably regional. A broad southern accent. Slang term for a woman. Abroad as a woman who can throw a mean punch. Wine that does not meet the minimum qualifications and standards for use of a designation by appellation of origin, where the grapes are grown, or by varietal content, may only be labeled by proprietary, made-up, name, by general color, such as vin rouge, vino rosso, rotwein, red wine, etc., or by general class, as vin ordinaire, vin de table, vino da tavola, tafelwine, table wine, etc. Any product that can be sold without a brand name. Applicable to an entire class or group. Is there a generic Asian mind? Of drugs, not protected by trademark. Acetaminophen is the generic form of the proprietary drug, Tylenol. Relating to or common to or descriptive of all members of a genus. The generic name. Without qualification. Used informally as, often pejorative, intensifiers. Gross negligence. Repellently fat. Conspicuously and outrageously bad or reprehensible. Gross ineptitude. Visible to the naked eye, especially of rocks and anatomical features. The entire amount of income before any deductions are made. 12 dozen. Conspicuously and tastelessly indecent. A revoltingly gross expletive. Before any deductions. Gross income. Earn before taxes, expenses, etc. Lacking fine distinctions or detail. The gross details of the structure appear reasonable. A loose protective coverall or smock worn over ordinary clothing for dirty work. Including everything. The overall cost. Involving only main features. The overall pattern of his life. Usually plural, work clothing consisting of denim trousers, usually with a bib and shoulder straps. An epidemic that is geographically widespread, occurring throughout a region or even throughout the world. Epidemic over a wide geographical area. A pandemic outbreak of malaria. Existing everywhere. Pandemic fear of nuclear war. Not detailed or specific. Felt an unspecific dread. Distributed over a considerable extent. Widespread nuclear fallout. Widely circulated or diffused. A widespread doctrine. Not limited in use or function. Not limited in use or function. Not diversified. A piece of open land for recreational use in an urban area. Common to or shared by two or more parties. A common friend. Being or characteristic of or appropriate to everyday language. Common parlance. Commonly encountered. A common, or familiar, complaint. Lacking refinement or cultivation or taste. Behavior that branded him as common. Of or associated with the great masses of people. The common people in those days suffered greatly. Of low or inferior quality or value. Produced the common cloths used by the poorer population. Belonging to or participated in by a community as a whole, public. For the common good. Having no special distinction or quality. Widely known or commonly encountered, average or ordinary or usual. The common man. To be expected, standard. Common decency. Not precise. Imprecise astronomical observations. Not specialized or modified for a particular purpose or function. Failing to make or recognize distinctions. Not marked by fine distinctions. Indiscriminate reading habits. Not specialized or modified for a particular purpose or function. Officers in the Army or Air Force or Marines above the rank of colonel. Computer science. A tiny electromagnetic coil and metal pole used to write and read magnetic patterns on a disk. Be in charge of. Who is heading this project? A person who is in charge. The head of the whole operation. That which is responsible for one's thoughts, feelings, and conscious brain functions. The seat of the faculty of reason. I couldn't get his words out of my head. Be the first or leading member of a group and excel. This student heads the class. The educator who has executive authority for a school. The upper part of the human body or the front part of the body in animals contains the face and brains. He stuck his head out the window. Travel in front of. Go in advance of others. The procession was headed by John. The part in the front or nearest the viewer. He was at the head of the column. A line of text serving to indicate what the passage below it is about. The heading seemed to have little to do with the text. A V-shaped mark at one end of an arrow pointer. A difficult juncture. Matters came to a head yesterday. Forward movement. The ship made little headway against the gale. Oral stimulation of the genitals. They say he gives good head. A dense cluster of flowers or foliage. A head of cauliflower. The subject matter at issue. Under the head of minor Roman poets. Direct the course. Determine the direction of traveling. The source of water from which a stream arises. They tracked him back toward the head of the stream. A natural elevation, especially a rocky one that juts out into the sea. Grammar. The word in a grammatical constituent that plays the same grammatical role as the whole constituent. A membrane that is stretched taut over a drum. An individual person. Tickets are $5 per head. A projection out from one end. The head of the nail. A rounded compact mass. The head of a comet. A single domestic animal. 200 head of cattle. A user of, usually soft, drugs. The office was full of secret heads. Be in the front of or on top of. The list was headed by the name of the president. Form a head or come or grow to a head. The wheat headed early this year. Nautical. A toilet on board a boat or ship. Remove the head of. Head the fish. Take its rise. These rivers head from a mountain range in the Himalayas. That part of a skeletal muscle that is away from the bone that it moves. The foam or froth that accumulates at the top when you pour an effervescent liquid into a container. The beer had a large head of foam. The front of a military formation or procession. The head of the column advanced boldly. The length or height based on the size of a human or animal head. He is 2 heads taller than his little sister. The pressure exerted by a fluid. A head of steam. The rounded end of a bone that fits into a rounded cavity in another bone to form a joint. The head of the humerus. The striking part of a tool. The head of the hammer. The tip of an abscess, where the pus accumulates. The top of something. The head of the stairs. To go or travel towards. Where is she heading? Usually plural, the obverse side of a coin that usually bears the representation of a person's head. Call heads or tails. A person who is in charge. A person who is in charge. The head of a tribe or clan. A person who exercises control over workers. Most important element. The chief aim of living. A concept whose truth can be proved. Scientific hypotheses are not facts. An event known to have happened or something known to have existed. Your fears have no basis in fact. A piece of information about circumstances that exist or events that have occurred. First, you must collect all the facts of the case. A statement or assertion of verified information about something that is the case or has happened. He supported his argument with an impressive array of facts.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.